All right, FightHype.com. Sean Zittel here with the head man of Mayweather Promotions, Mr. Leonard Ellerbe, CEO of Mayweather Promotions. Leonard, what's going on, man? We got a big one coming up in about 2 weeks.
Huge. Undisputed versus undisputed. It gets no bigger and better than that. You got Canelo. I was actually talking to a reporter earlier today. Canelo was coming to that fight with a chip on his shoulder. He's coming off an injury, and that to me explains why his performances, the last couple performances, hadn't been per se what the public would expect, because the level of opponents that he's faced recently, let's call it what it is. They haven't been the elite fighters, with the exception of Bivol. He's a solid guy. With no disrespect, he's not an elite fighter. He's a solid fighter. He's good, and so I know there has been a lot of talk about why he hadn't looked the same as in the past, and people were kind of saying that, he's lost a step. And I think with this fight right here, I think he's going to lay it on the line. I think, he's coming off of the injury. He say he's 100%, and I think that we're going to see the best version of where he's at right now in him. But he's got a tough task at hand with Jermell Charlo. Mel is hungry. There are many people out there who aren't giving him a chance, in which I think that's the dumbest crap ever, because Mel does a lot of things really well, and one of his best attributes is his confidence. One thing when you talk about Jermell Charlo, he's a winner. That's the first thing you got to say. We've seen him, come from behind in fights, and he has, with my guy, Breadman said, he has a clutch gene, and in these situations, you expect that he's going to bring it. He's going to bring it, and his confidence level is at an all-time high because he knows what he's up against on the 30th of September. It's going to be a tremendous fight. It's going to be one of them fights where you definitely don't want to get up and go to the bathroom or anything, because again, that both guys got something to prove. They're all weight classes for a reason, but in this particular case, who's going to be the bigger guy that night? Who's going to be the bigger guy? I think it's going to come down to the skills in this fight. And that's not always the case in fights, because skills always do pay the bills, but sometimes it's like, it's like putting Floyd Mayweather in there with a heavyweight. But moving up 2 weight classes, me personally, I don't think it will affect him at all. I think he's going to be very comfortable coming in at a weight that that he's comfortable at, and he's not having to make 54. It's going to be a terrific fight, and I'm really, really excited. He has a lot of support behind him. All of Houston is coming out for the fight, and it's one of those things. It's always a great opportunity when you see a black fighter fight a Mexican fighter. You know firsthand what kind of fight it's going to be. With him being African American, every brother and sister going to be pulling for him and want him to win. And that has nothing to do with saying that, Canelo doesn't have a lot of African American support. But in this particular case, every brother and sister, they coming. And when it comes to Canelo, we know his people, they're diehards. They're with him through it all. But this, with Canelo fighting on the big stage again, And I think that coming back to the PBC, obviously he fought the plant fight, but this is the natural platform for him, because he's a big time star, and has been for many, many years. And I think that with him, and I don't want to touch too much on this, with him kind of fighting on the platform that he was fighting before, his exposure was diminished. And I think that's fair. Now, his bankroll got bigger, and it's always about getting that paper. He made a couple $100 million. Shout out to Eddie Renee. I always pronounce his name wrong. That's my guy, though. Eddie has done a phenomenal job with managing his career and extracting as much money, from each and every fight. He's done a phenomenal job, and he don't get a lot of credit that he deserves, and he should be definitely manager of the year. Definitely manager of the year. For the yeoman's job that he's done, with Canelo's career.
Couple of things I want to touch on with Charlo, in regards to him. You mentioned you like his confidence, and he's always known for his confidence, but hasn't quite been that same, I'm gonna knock your ass out, Jermell Charlo. How do you read into that, and what's he got to do to pull off the upset? What's he got to do to beat this man as the underdog in Canelo?
How you know that's not a ploy?
I don't.
How do you know that he baiting everybody to, you know what I mean, and turn it up when he needs to turn it up? Stay tuned for 30 September. You're gonna get everything what you expected.
Do you?
It started out one way, and but it's all about how you finish. It's all about how you finish. I don't think in this particular case, it's like Canelo's not gonna get rattled with anything that you say because he can fight his ass off. He's not gonna get rattled, but there's some situations where you gotta do what you gotta do. Sometime in build-ups, you gotta talk that talk, but wait for 30 September. We're gonna see if who's gonna come out on top. We're gonna see who's gonna come out on top.
What do you feel like are some of the things Charlo has to do to come out on top?
I think that he has to establish the respect early. I think he has to establish that coming out early that he's the boss. Canelo, he's a resilient fighter, excellent defensive fighter, and one of the things that I've been really impressed with, and I haven't had the opportunity to say that, Canelo has a lot of tricks in his bag. He has a lot of tricks in his bag, and he reminds me of. Don't take this the wrong way. He reminds me of a black fighter. I mean, with his slickness. He doesn't have the typical Mexican style that you see most, Mexican fighters fight.
Salvador Sanchez was like that.
Right. He can do it all. He can do it all. So, and I really probably hadn't touched on that in the past, but that's been very impressive to me personally.
Is he the best defensive fighter in boxing right now?
He's definitely one of them. He's definitely in the top two or three. Yeah, top two or three. Well, I know people label some people as the best, but it's like you got to get in there with the top fighters to see, where you at. Canelo's definitely up there, but he's definitely a slick fighter. But also, Charlo has that clutch gene that Brad talks about. That he knows, he steps it up when he has to step up.
Rise to the occasion.
He rises to the occasion, and in this particular case, he's got to come out. Can't wait. He's got to come out and establish the respect early.
Canelo brings a lot of experience.
Did you see his workout today?
Yep. Did he look tired after his workout to you?
No, he didn't. It's just he's so Canelo's very comfortable where he's at in his career, you know, and it's like, you know, this is I'm sure it's fun for him, fun to a point where it's his job, you know. It's not personal for him because he's accomplished everything that any fighter could ever want in his career.
Well, he started pulling for receipts saying, well, you used to say Charlo, but like I'm not gonna let it off the hook. The fight's getting closer now. Now I'm gonna start pulling for receipts to build some spite towards you and chip on my shoulder.
Well, that's what the when you're a veteran, you find different things, and it's no different for a basketball player, or, you know, stuff what we call the bulletin board stuff to get you motivated. And but Charlo is going to be more than enough to motivate him when that bell rings, because again, it's that this won't be John Ryder, this won't be Callum Smith or B.J. Sanders. It won't be none of that stuff, and they all are good, solid fighters. But Jermell Charlo is better than all of those guys. All of those guys. And this is the best opponent that he's fought since the Triple G fight. You know, and no knocking on Bivol. Bivol won the fight. But again, I believe what Canelo said. He was injured. In that fight, I believe that. I believe it. I believe him. But this is the best fighter that he would have he's faced since Triple G won.
Speaking of, what's your top 5 Mexican fighters ever, Leonard? You got a top 5, or is that doing too much?
Well, he's number 1.
Not just because you promote him.
No, I'm not promoting.
Yeah, you're right. You're not right.
Promoting. This promotion is Canelo Promotions,
right?
And Canelo Promotions and TGB and PBC.
Ahead of my guy Salvador Sanchez.
Yeah, no. And I'm not just saying it's like I've been watching a lot of stuff on him, man. It's like he's a good fighter, and he's watched a lot of. You could tell he's watched a lot of Floyd. But what a lot of people don't know is that man spars a lot of black fighters too.
Always has.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he's gotten better. He's gotten better by doing that. Mm-hmm. He ain't just worked with one particular race.
Rashidi Ellis, Dennis Douglin, on and on, like a lot.
He's worked with a number of African American fighters who are athletic, you know, and he's learned that slick stuff from the guys that he's worked with. I mean, you look early on in his career, he was kind of robotic. You know, he didn't have a lot of upper body movement, you know, but he's gotten better and better and better over the years. And again, you got to give credit to his team, the guys that, like, because that's actually being smart and thinking big picture of, like, how can I get better? You know, working with I can't stay, you know, I got to think outside the box, and they've done a good job with that.
Well, Leonard, thank you so much, man. I will close by just saying, how you been, man? Everything going good? Any game you could give us? This is the real $1 million a game right here on the couch.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, just chilling, you know, just working hard every day, spending time with my family. Mm-hmm. You know, that's all I do.
Watching football?
Actually, I did this past week.
Commanders fan?
Actually, I am.
Okay.
Actually, I am, and I'm a Raiders fan now too.
Right. Local.
Yeah. You know, Mark Davis and my guys, and you know, so.
If Floyd was still fighting, you'd have to be talking about him about the arena. You know, you guys would have to be booking Floyd at, you know, hey, what's that smile mean?
I'm just smiling.
Stay tuned. All right. Thank you, Leonard.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Appreciate it.